Welcome back to another video over here on SCS Combat, and today we're going to be getting into and giving you my official predictions for Moses Itauma vs Dillian Whyte and the undercard fights this weekend on August 16th live in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. So it's a great card. You have Nick Ball and Sam Goodman on there, Ray Ford on there. David Adelaide, Filip Hrgovic is a really good fight, interesting fight. David Adelaide known really for losing to Fabio Wardley, and his last fight against Jimmy TKV. He's kind of British English level heavyweight, and now he's got a huge step up against Filip Hrgovic, so we'll get into that. But starting off, first fight we have Ray Ford versus Abraham Nova. Now Abraham Nova, good fighter, he's contested for world titles before, I'm pretty sure. Ray Ford, obviously former world champion, coming up a weight class, trying to get his way back to the title. So super featherweight. Ray Ford's got that style. It's kind of the Philly shell, sharp, accurate, hard puncher as well. Supposed to be fighting Anthony Kakachi in this card. Unfortunately, Kakachi got injured, so he's taking on Abraham Nova on late notice. Now, Nova's been looking a bit rough for him recently. He's coming off the back of a win, but it's rough because he had a loss against Oshaki Foster, world champion, that's alright. Then he lost against Andres Cortez, undefeated. Then he lost again, or he drew against Galindo. And then his last fight was a win, but it was against a guy called Miraz, so he was 65 wins and 72 losses. So there was a journeyman. Considering the level he's fought at, that's shocking. So that's going to be a difficulty for him because the last time out he was boxing against such low level. Now he's fighting a former world champion again. And a young up and coming potential future world champion, So that's going to be a difficulty for him. So Ray Ford obviously lost to the guy in the co-main event, Nick Ball, 17-1. That was his only loss. Mostly known for getting a 12th round stoppage in a bout that he was down in to win a world title, WBA featherweight world title, I believe it was. Coming off the back of a win against Thomas Matthews. I'm pretty sure that was just a step up, or that was just a, way of finding fight at this new weight class. But good fight there. Last out in April, staying active. He's a sharp fighter, former world champion, and that's some of this game. So just going off their styles and their form, the way their careers are going at the moment, I'm picking Ray Ford here. I feel like he's the favourite. I feel like this would be a heavily picked fighter. No doubt Nova's game, and this is a big step up as well for Ray Ford at this new weight class. So it's going to be an interesting one, but I'm taking Ray Ford. I'll go by decision. I don't think he gets him out of there. But moving on, now this is about possibly one of the most interesting fights I think we've seen in a while, because David Adelaide is stepping up from about British English level to fight Filip Hrgovic, who obviously fought Daniel Dubois, former world heavyweight champion, in the interim bout for the IBF heavyweight world title. And Filip Hrgovic was undefeated, I'm pretty sure, and #1 ranked in the IBF for a long time. Not a lot of people want to fight him, so he is high world level. Now, obviously, it's interesting because we do see from Filip Hrgovic from time to time, it looks like he just doesn't want to be there and he kind of switches off. You look in that Zhang fight, his last fight was against Joe Joyce, but the main fight as well, Daniel Dubois, where that happened, where you see after he wasn't getting success from his right hands, even though they were landing, he wasn't hurting Dubois, and then he just kind of switched off and Dubois jumped on him. Filip Hrgovic coming off the back of a win against Joe Joyce, who has obviously not been on the best of form recently, but a win's a win. And it's a good comeback win for Filip Hrgovic because he could have easily got caught in that fight, but he didn't, so fair play. David Adelaide, on the other hand, coming off the back of a highly controversial win over Jimmy TKV. I'm pretty sure they were in the clinch, and the referee pulled Jimmy TKV's hand down, and then David Adelaide hit him with a left hook and knocked him out. I don't know what's happening there, but in terms of what David Adelaide has looked like before at world level, he has fought a guy that went on to be at world level and still is, Fabio Wardley, potentially fighting for a world title soon. So Fabio Wardley knocked him out and made easy work of him, but he's knocked everyone out near enough, so honestly, who knows? But I feel like this is another one where there's going to be a heavy favourite, and in my opinion this one's Filip Hrgovic, and that will be my pick as well. Filip Hrgovic, I don't expect him to necessarily get it done by stoppage, but if I do see it happening later on, see David Adelaide being game and coming out and giving it what he's got, but I don't think it'll be enough. I think Filip Hrgovic going to wear him down and beat him by decision or stop him. Only way David Oliveira gets this, in my opinion, is if he hurts Filip Hrgovic and takes him out of there mentally, and then possibly gets him out of there physically. But look, we'll see. I'm picking Filip Hrgovic there. Moving on to the co-main event, we have got Nick Ball taking on Sam Goodman. Now, Sam Goodman has been in huge fights for the past couple of fights, but hasn't really fought any of them. So he was supposed to fight Nuya, pulled out of that. I'm pretty sure he might have pulled out of that Nuya fight twice, if my memory is correct. Ball, on the other hand, coming off the back of a good win against TJ Doheny. Now, TJ Doheny, good fighter in his time, but older in age. You know, Nick Ball, obviously beat Ray Ford, a spectacular fighter, and the only one to beat him to get the WBA world title at super or at featherweight. From that, I think he's fought Ronnie Rios, TJ Doheny. Like, it's a lot of guys that are towards the end of their run in their boxing career, so it's going to be interesting to see here what he's like against the live dog, Sam Goodman, undefeated. You know, the unfortunate thing is Sam Goodman probably doesn't have the best reputation in boxing right now, but I'm gonna, Nick Ball has this style, and I think a lot of people struggle with it, and I don't really see it changing here. I think it's gonna take a boxer like Ray Ford, who could have got the decision that night, to beat him. You know, it's gonna be a difficult one, but I'd have to say, I think it's gonna be his fourth defense if he wins. I really do want to see Nick Ball move on and fight someone else at this rate. You know, I'm sure there's other fights out there for him of featherweight. Unification bouts is what you want to see mainly. Sam Goodman, you're undefeated, seem good, but fortunately I don't see anyone stopping Nick Ball at this rate. The only way Nick Ball could lose this fight is via disqualification, because we all know in his fights he likes to take temper tantrums. So no offense to him, but that probably won't fly in the boxing ring. You know, if the right referee's in there. An example is last time he just booted TJ Doheny in the back of the legs because TJ Doheny held on like clinch for too long. The referee didn't have a problem with that apparently, but hopefully no fouls going on in there. And finally, the main event. What a fight. I mean, we have Dillian Whyte taking on Moses Itauma. As we all know, Dillian Whyte has been a huge name in British boxing and heavyweight boxing in general over the years. Took on names like Derek Chisora, Anthony Joshua, Joseph Parker, Tyson Fury. You know, he's fought the best of this generation. Now, has he won all those? No. But he still fought them and come out with a good win on one of them. He knocked out Derek Chisora badly. This is something, because obviously with Moses Itauma, he's been one of those guys we've all looked at. Everyone's seen Moses Itauma in that boxing world, and they all know that he is special. You know, you look at a guy like that, you don't see a person like this come up. He's been sparring all the top heavyweights from he was young, like in school. Now he's coming up, he's getting his way about it. Dillian Whyte, on the other hand, has been on the back of a weird run. You know, he's beat guys like Tenneth, who he should be beating every day of the week, but took him a wee bit longer than usual. Before that, lost Tyson Fury and stuff like that. This is gonna be interesting because Moses Itauma is one of his best punches is the uppercut, and Tyson Fury knocked Dillian Whyte out with an uppercut. You know, it's kind of hard to look past Moses Itauma here, because at the end of the day, when someone hasn't been beat, it's going to be harder to see them being beat, or to vision them being beat. You know, the stuff Moses Itauma has done, I'm pretty sure he's coming off the back of like 8 knockout wins in a row, knocking people out brutally, and every time he steps up in competition, it's just the same thing over and over and over and over again, knocking these guys out cold. Now, there's a huge jump from that lad, and no doubt there's a huge jump from that last opponent until Dillian Whyte. When you haven't seen someone lose, I don't think most of the time has ever lost. Moses Itauma, I don't know how to say it. If I'm mispronouncing that name, I apologize. But Dillian Whyte, on the other hand, it's rough. He's 37, he's in spectacular shape. He's in the best shape he's been in for a while for these fights, and no doubt he's coming to prove a point here that he won't just be took out by the young up-and-comer in Moses Itauma. Now, will he be able to stop that? I don't know. Most of the time, he said he's going to get him out of there early, so who knows, honestly. It wouldn't be surprising, because that's what he has been doing. Questions that are around most of the time, however, what happens when he gets into, I think this might be a 12-round fight, so what happens when he gets into late? Does he gas out? Does he get frustrated? Does he run out of ideas? You know, does he, like, if they can't get that guy out of there, what does he do? You know, and he's had that in a couple of fights before. He's looked frustrated earlier on in his career. Before he was a star and knocking everyone out, I think he had a couple of decisions. So can Dillian Whyte push him there to annoy him and then to take advantage of it? And obviously the most important question is chin. When this guy gets chin checked, and no doubt Dillian Whyte could be the guy to do it, that left hook is lethal. You look at that Marcus Brown knockout, and tell me anything else, you're wrong. That left hook is dangerous. And what happens if most of the time it's clocked with that in the chin? What happens there? You know, because guys with very, very, very good chins haven't been able to take Dillian Whyte's left hook. And Derek Chisora is the main example of that there, where Dillian Whyte literally flatline KO'd him. And later on in his career, Derek Chisora, who's took way more punches from it, fought Joe Joyce, who's one of the hardest hitters heavyweights seen in the last generation. And Derek Chisora didn't go down in that fight. It shows you how hard Dillian Whyte can hit given the opportunity. You kind of have to want to see more of what Itauma's got here. I'd rather see something from him than rather than Dillian Whyte get blasted out in 2 rounds, although that would be class. I think we need to see something here. It's interesting there because he might know it, but we don't know it. So it's kind of like gives us more to think about if he does get a bigger fight out this, and it'll likely be someone like Joseph Parker or Usyk or Fabio Wardley. You see here, WBO and WBA titles are on the line in this fight, so honestly, who knows what could come from this win for Moses Itauma, but that'll lead me to it. Overall, I'm going to pick Moses Itauma here, and I'm going to pick him to get it done by knockout, simply because how can you not? You look at the guys he's fought last, he's been blasting them all away, he's been knocking everyone out, chinning them all, and Dillian Whyte's not on the best form, you know, and hasn't been for a while now. So I've got to take Moses Itauma here, but Dillian Whyte is a live fighter here, no doubt about it. I think he's coming with a point to prove, and he certainly looks like he is. So what happens if Moses Itauma gets chin checked? What happens if the fight goes late? We don't have those answers yet, and probably won't for a while. Who knows? But I think Dillian Whyte's going to stick around, and I think about round 4 or 5, Moses Itauma might knock him out. So that's going to be my pick right there. Let me know down below in the comments what you think of this fight. Who do you think's going to win? Who do you think's going to win the undercard fight? Some great card here. But overall, those are my picks. Ray Ford, Filip Hrgovic, Nick Ball, Moses Itauma. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Subscribe, follow me Instagram, TikTok, Twitter for more.